Hello, everyone, and how are all of you doing? We are back. We are definitely back for another episode of Rob's Real and Ridiculous Podcast. It is episode number 52. Number 52, Man Cave Studios, Valley of the Sun. And just how are all of you doing? How was your week? Are you all hanging in there with COVID? We talk about it week after week, and I know the numbers continue to grow. But let's just hope that we can get things under control here as we enter the month of February. It is the Super Bowl special. It is the 1-year anniversary for this podcast, and I have a special guest joining us. Mikey G will be joining us here in just a minute. But before I get over to him in the green room, let me just give a special shout out to my mom, my Mimi. Happy 80th birthday, Mimi. Love you to death. Her birthday was Friday, February 5th, and she looks about 20 years younger. I don't know how she does it, but hopefully those genes get passed down to me. Warm weather here in the valley. I had no idea until yesterday. I'll probably bring this up with Mikey G real quick, too. I had no idea until yesterday that the Phoenix Open was being played until I was flipping channels yesterday. But I'm glad they have some good weather for it. They do have some fans in there, so it's really good to see. Really good to see. But let's get this show kicking because I want to bring Mikey G in here. Mikey G, welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's great to be on. I cannot believe 1 year, 52nd show?
52nd show,
52
yeah.
2 weeks in a year, and I think you said maybe it was the first show, a Super Bowl show last year?
Yeah, it was. First show, I actually had to go back. I know you and I were going back and forth on text throughout the week, and I looked back because I said to Giovanni, too, I said, shoot, yeah, it was actually Super Bowl week, and made it through the pandemic. You were my first guest to help me get started with the whole guest part of the show, and came on mid-year with Garvey and Nikki V, and for the anniversary show. That went really well. And
I mean, it's just an unbelievable accomplishment.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like, I mean, a year. A lot of people say they want to do it, and I'm sure people burn out, and I know, gone through a lot of trials and tribulations and ups and downs. I know you had one night, was it 3 hours to get the guest on?
Yeah, Peter Crafts. Peter Crafts. You actually talked me on the ledge. I was frustrated the next day. I'm like, I'm done doing this. And sometimes trying to just connect with guests and guests skipping out and everything else. But you just kind of learn and burn through it. So
to me, it's like, what you're doing here. It's like writing a book and saying, hey, I wrote a book and I completed it and it's published. And you're a year on a podcast. And there's a lot of them out there.
There are
a lot of them. Everybody, so many, but there's only a top, I don't know, 5-10% that really have more than 200 subscribers.
Yep, and making it.
And that doesn't mean people aren't listening if they're not subscribing, but it's
not
keep it going.
Yeah,
it's a competitive field, but you've got your niche, and the biggest thing is that there's a lot of very interesting, ordinary people out there doing a lot of things with their lives, and you've brought a lot of them on, and they all have interesting stories. It's been really great to listen to.
Yeah, and I know this year with the pandemic and everything, I kind of feel like really dipped in, I guess you could say, to mental health.
Yep.
Like in the importance of it, and having some people that were part of my life with work and whatnot that aren't with us anymore, as you know, and I know you know people too. So, but I've managed to bring a couple guests. I like doing the transformation things as well, which I think are great stories. So I know I appreciate that. It's funny you say that because there's a ton of podcasts out there, and it's tough to make it. Just social media is such a tough thing because it's such a good thing too. And like, how do you get followers? I was talking to Madison the other day. She came home. She ran into a guy she knew at the gym, and she said, oh yeah, and he was with those 2 TikTok girls. I said, who are the TikTok girls? TikTok's taking off. I don't do TikTok.
Right.
But anyways, they have over 3 million followers. 2 young girls, high school girls. And I'm like, how the heck is that possible? and things just take off and go viral. And this guy I keep telling you about, I don't know if you had a chance to watch him, just because he's the guy from Boston, Ed Millette.
Oh yeah,
kind of really gravitated to the guy, and he brought on this young kid about 2 weeks ago, and how he built up his base of followers by buying somebody's canceled subscription to, like, this guy had like 70,000 Instagram followers, so he was going to quit his account. He didn't want it anymore, so he said, "I'll buy it from you."
no
So what do you mean by? So he bought it for 600. So now all of a sudden he has that many followers, and he just kept building from there. And so even with this, I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing. If somehow, some way I could make it into something bigger.
Love,
right,
really, to begin with, and
it takes one person, though, right? One or two people that'll change your whole thing, and it never hurts to ask, right?
Right.
You know, I've reached out to a lot of different people to say, "Do you want to come on the show?" People that are popular, and got lucky with a few and struck out with others. But I'm not going to know unless I try, right?
I think you've only had really a couple that have no-showed. And,
yep, that's going to happen.
Yeah. The rest have been great.
But we got a great show. We're going to dig into the Super Bowl, of course, but just a couple things that I think have come up over the last 24 hours. And I don't know if you saw anything about that. Kevin Durant started last night.
I did.
Pulled him out, put him back in, and like, what the heck's going on with that?
They pulled him out again.
Yeah.
I think they delayed he came off the bench. First time he'd come off the bench, he didn't start a game.
Right.
And I don't know how many games.
That's exactly right. Now he's out for tonight against Philly, because that would be a good game, should be a good game. So he's really frustrated. He's tweeting away, which he probably should.
But he came in contact with somebody who initially was inconclusive on a test.
Right.
And then during the game, so that's why they didn't start him. But during the game, they found that whoever the person was tested positive, so they had to pull him out in the middle of the game.
You know, I don't know about you, but what bothers me a lot about things like that, I'd be frustrated too if I were him, right? I think why are we seeing at times results given? We've seen it in baseball, right? With the World Series getting pulled out was a Kershaw. One of them got pulled out at the end of the game. I can't remember, during the World Series. And couldn't be around for the celebration, but he came out anyway. Why are these results coming, being presented during a game? It just blows my mind. And that's not just baseball. It's happening in basketball. It's crazy.
So then they had a list of the contact, who was guarding him during the game, and how.
Oh, shoot, that's right.
There must have been about 15 different, 12 different players, and who guarded him this many possessions, who guarded him this. So now they get a test. I guess if they're doing it right, they'd have to test all of those people as well.
It's crazy. I mean, they're doing all the right things. I'm glad they're working through it. So I had, obviously, it was a double night Boston. It was a Boston doubleheader last night between the Bruins, who were just killing it, and then the Celtics come on. But I was watching part of that game, and then I was listening to, I think it was this morning's ESPN. He said it was a very eerie game last night, the whole Kevin Durant thing. And I think I read, I heard, and I don't know if he did until the very end, I think Kyrie didn't take any shots the entire game or until the fourth quarter or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was something. Right. Real quick, what are your thoughts on the Nets? I mean, do you think two teams that I have on my radar, being a Celtic fan, we being both Celtic fans, are the Nets and the Sixers? Like, what are your thoughts on those two? To me, those are the only two teams that are going to be contenders.
The Nets have got that. Kyrie he's just unpredictable, moody.
Yes.
And he's extremely talented. I mean,
hell of a talent.
I get a bad taste in my mouth about him, just the way he left the Celts and all
Same
the
here.
He causes, and then sat out for these 6 or 7 games as if, he was so over, I guess, the things that were going on in the country affected him so much. Like, hey, we all got to go to work.
Don't we? Isn't that the truth? Yeah, that's a selfish act.
But he's extremely talented. And I think maybe the second game back, he hit the 37, and I want to see him fall flat on his face. But talent is talent. But I think I saw last night. Now they didn't have Durant, but Harden and they were walking off, and Harden looked like he had a disgusted look on his face, kind of shaking
frustrated,
and looking back like they had just a little back and forth about something.
They did.
So they're extremely talented, and then you think, I don't know. There's three guys that demand the ball. I don't see how it works with that talent, that kind of talent.
I agree. If I'm Jersey, right, I'm getting rid of Kyrie because you don't need the two of them to win. That team has so much young talent that they traded away to begin with. I thought they were a solid team last year on the rise. Really, some good young pieces. Harden and Durant can coexist because they did it in Oklahoma.
Right.
So go out and get yourself, a Kemba Walker type, not trading for Kemba. I'm just using him as an example because we know he's the difference maker on the chemistry piece for Boston. But go out and get yourself another a decent point guard, a distributor of the basketball. God, I mean, if I'm just using Isaiah Thomas as an example too, because he's out there. I don't know if you'd start him at this point, but get somebody that's going to fit in with the mix. You don't need him. He's just going to be, to your point, ahead.
I feel bad for, of all people, Steve Nash in the middle of this.
Oh, my God.
Nothing but a great guy. I mean,
I love Steve Nash too.
And Durant really has a lot of respect for him. And if you go on YouTube,
he does.
Find some one-on-one videos. I think Nash was an advisor for the
he was
Warriors.
For the Warriors. He was an advisor for Golden State.
A lot of one-on-one practices and drills that Nash was putting Durant through. And you would think that Durant saying, hey, this, given his nod and his okay, that this guy is good and I believe in him would be enough. And here's Kyrie upset because they didn't consult him when they hired the coach.
That's insane. Yeah. He just I was always a huge Kevin Durant fan, and I still like him. I'm kind of like, come back a little bit. I wasn't a big fan of players just go and tweet all day, but don't get burner accounts and go after fans. I mean, it's just
the switching to when he joined a team that had already won the championship.
That's true.
And then to leave and go, I just wasn't crazy about that.
No, you're right. I don't like the way he bailed on Golden State.
Like that, with all that talent, he still left his impression on that.
He never complained. He's a total team guy. That's what I like about him. He's not a leader. He doesn't want to be a leader, right? They have those players that, and we'll talk about Stafford here in a little bit too, because I heard that a lot about him in the locker room too, as being just kind of a good guy, right? He's not going to be that guy that's going to be like a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or some of these other leaders.
Well, he's a leader by his play on the
court. Yeah, no, absolutely. So
I kind of feel like what's his name with the Clippers is the same way.
Paul George, Kawhi.
Well, Kawhi.
Yes.
He's kind of quiet. I mean, I know he's had his issues. The way he left San Antonio and that whole fiasco, and then then he wins with Toronto and then leaves them, but. He's not really outspoken, and you don't see him really, pulling the team together. Like, say, a Rondo who's pulling everybody together, and he's telling them. And I mean, geez, I hope he goes in the coaching. I
wish he was back with Boston.
Me too.
He'd come off the bench. He's an absolute flippin' leader. That's the guy you want. He's the Robert Horry, if you will, in playoff series, right? A little bit that type of player.
He would be. Listen. I mean, he's old. I don't know how many minutes he can play, but how about him on the Nets instead of?
Oh, there you go.
That kind of mindset.
Yes,
he knows what he's capable of, and he'd be fishing and running he'd be tremendous, really.
Yeah, I like that move. Let's just hope Philly doesn't pick him up. I see. I was worried about Philly getting Doc. Like Doc to me. And I beat up on Brad Stevens like every other night just because I don't like his rotations. I like Brad a lot. Yeah. But now I take Doc and plug Doc in with Boston, and you're going to get better outcomes than you like Philly seeing now. Now, whether Embiid can last the whole season without breaking down, this is the best he's ever looked. We'll see where that goes with Philly. But and I like Embiid.
Doc, I think, is going to make the difference there.
I do too. Hey, do you like Embiid?
Yeah, I do.
I really like him. He's harmless. He really wants to be a good guy.
He was misunderstood.
He
was. The first
was.
year or two, but
I like him a lot.
Right. He just likes to play the game and a little give and take, but I think it's all in fun. He's really.
It is. He even went up to Marcus Smart in those series. I did too. And he went to Marcus. Hey man, there were no ill intent. Marcus is. But they're both floppers. Marcus is the worst, but. hey, whatever. It was pretty funny though in that
And,
series, them going back and forth.
Simmons is growing, and Simmons is a talent too.
He's so quiet. That guy, he doesn't crack a smile.
I know.
He's so talented too.
Right.
He really is. That whole incident last week was kind of insane, right? With the Atlanta fan getting and sticking up for her husband, and LeBron thought it was the dad. So what goes to show you what she looked like, somebody who would be married to somebody that's probably up there and pretty wealthy. But I was listening to Brad Stevens the other day. That's why I would bring this up, and he said, "Hey, how's this whole travel thing going?" He said, "It's kind of weird." He said, "For starters," he said, playing at home against the Lakers Saturday night, you could hear a national TV game. You could hear a pin drop, right? No fans.
Right.
It's really eerie. He said, now I get on a plane and we're traveling. He said, well, I'm in California today for the Clippers game. This was I think they interviewed him Thursday. And he said, because of the protocols, you can't leave in California. You can't even leave he can't even leave his hotel room at all until practice.
Yeah, because every state's got different restrictions.
Restrictions. He said, but now I'm going to get on a plane after the the Clipper game. I'm going to go to Phoenix where it's more open. He said, there's going to be fans. I can go out and go do my walks. And he goes, and Utah's the same. So he said, it just kind of really, it's just different on the road. So I know these guys are making a lot of money, and we can all say suck it up, but it's got to be weird at this point in time. You went from a bubble to now empty stadiums. I'm glad they're doing it, but I could see where that would wear on you after a little bit.
True.
Right?
I agree, yeah.
It would wear on you.
When is that game against the Suns? And we got to, I feel like those teams are, there's some similarities between the Suns.
They're both 12 and, Michael, they're both 12 and 9.
Right, exactly.
I looked before, they're both 12 and 9. They're very similar, right? And tomorrow at noon. They're playing tomorrow at noon here in Phoenix. So we get a nice.
We would have had tickets for that.
We would have had tickets. I know. And then we would have rushed home for the Super Bowl back to my house. Right.
Yeah.
Have everybody
first time
get
in 7 years, the last 7 years. Stinks, but if it's just when you let your guard down, something happens, and
we're not doing it, and we're just, it's going to just be the four of us this year.
Yeah.
I'm not even having my parents. I saw my mom and dad yesterday with the whole COVID thing, and luckily they're doing good, and they got the first shot like I told you. But I said, Mom, just kind of still stay clear a little bit. I know you guys get cabin fever. But I said, even if I were to have something, I'd tell you just stay home. Just get.
Well, we're even saying, within our own family. I mean, you've got, my mother, Steve, and Linda, and Eric. And Eric's got the big 85-inch TV.
Yeah.
Just ourselves. We didn't say anything to them. We did say, hey, if it wasn't for this, we just crash or something. If we were just keeping it within family because we go to my mom's and stuff.
Yep.
But we're not even doing that.
No.
I'd love to see it on an 85-inch TV.
Oh, that looks beautiful. Which I've been pushing Giovanni for a bigger one.
We might be killing everybody listening to the show, but the last thing, and then we'll get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's got these unbelievable speakers next to it. I got to look them up. They're,
no kidding. It looks
deal, but they're like
good for him.
$1,800 each speakers. Some super, in a theater experience.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable.
Oh yeah. And that's the way to watch it. Right. But yeah, I felt bad. So we almost caved, right? And the kid's like, oh, nobody's coming over, not these Cheryl and the girls, grandma and grandpa. My poor in-laws my father-in-law thought he was coming over. He said to my mother-in-law, he said, and Albert, what time are we going to Rob and Giovanni's on Sunday? I said, honey, they're not having anything this year. And I said, with everything just going on, because they've been here, right, for the holidays. I'm like, you know what? And it's, to be honest with you, you know what it's like. I mean, nothing towards anyone, but kind of nice to take a break, take a little pause, right? No late night, I don't need the day off tomorrow, that type of thing. So I think we're all doing the same thing. The other thing I was going to bring up real quick, NHL, and I know there's a few NHL listeners out there, but I thought you'd find this interesting. The Toronto Maple Leafs are being recorded for this 2021 season. They're doing a documentary called All or Nothing, and they're calling them they're like the almost like the laughing stock of the NFL of the NHL because they've been choking away a lot of these playoff series, and they brought up the Bruins. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out for them because a lot of times when they follow a team,
Right.
the team has high promises, they do, and it leads them to maybe a championship like the year the Red Sox. They fell a game short to the Yankees in 03, right?
Yep.
And we come back in 04. So I just thought I'd share that with you because I know you and I are big puck heads. So, but let's swing in. Let's get into the Super Bowl. We got a lot to talk about with the Super Bowl, but obviously the big news of the day is Andy Reid's son.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And
that's I just heard Bob Costas this morning talking about that on a show, and I guess they're saying he maybe was staying late, going over stop. He probably had a few drinks
and he did
at the Arrowhead, and then he took Adderall, I think.
Yep.
And then he's leaving, and there's just somebody broke down and ran out of gas, and somebody else, family member, came, pulled up behind him. He's going to get on an on-ramp, and I don't know if he loses control or he's just not paid, whatever, but he plows into the back of them to a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. The 5-year-old's in critical condition. Little
boy. And here's where I get a little irritated, right? And we pray that the little boy comes out of this. But he needs to be like, and he's going to get punished. He's going to go back in. He's already been done one stint in prison for guns, waving a gun at somebody.
Road
rage. Him and his brother were dealing drugs. His brother, who since has OD'd. So there's a lot.
OD'd. I mean, they've had some. Yeah, I know.
And some. I know that. When you're grown and older and out of the house, there's only so much you can do, but you're wondering how much focus Andy Reid's put to the family when it comes to football, right? I mean, that certainly gets thrown out there. It just has to. And this is devastating. This is terrible.
Right. So it is. It's a tragedy. And just pray for the little kids. And
let's pray.
However, but one thing they were saying is that whatever charges come, just because of the normal course of the investigation, not having anything to do with the Super Bowl or anything, that it would take it. Nothing's going to come until next week. So
Monday, Tuesday.
I don't know if are they going to have him on the sidelines?
No, he's not.
He can't be.
His name is Brett, so Brett will not be there. Andy will. I don't know if the little boy, God forbid, in the event passed, if that would change anything. I'm not sure. It's not a good look, period, maybe too. Who knows? No, right? That's a tough call for him. But he's not new to it. And that's the one thing I think at times where I've kind of knocked him a little bit. I think he seems like a good guy, seems like a big grandpa.
Right.
But look, he signed a guy that he knew was a domestic violence guy, right? Exactly. So I don't know if he just tries to. There's certain people you want to give a second chance, and that includes his son. Right. But you've already been in once. You've already had one DUI.
Right.
And really, you're an outside linebacker.
He's got to get home, right?
Right, and you're an outside linebackers coach under your dad, which is probably a dream come true, like Belichick's sons.
Right.
And you've already been in trouble for. Why are you drinking 2 days before the game and you're a coach?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Exactly.
Go home and having a beer and unwind or something.
Then, right. If that's the case,
I say we've all done stupid things. You and I have done Get in an Uber. You got to be.
This day and age, Uber and Lyft is just.
Come on, man.
Really no excuse anymore.
It's crazy. We'll see if it has any lingering effect on the game. But how about Tampa? Right. It's crazy because we're from Boston. We've been so blessed the last 20 years with all 4 sports.
Right.
But in LA's really starting to take over a little bit now too. With the Lakers, the Dodgers, they just got another big signing with Bauer.
Right.
And then you got who else is? I'm leaving somebody else off of there on the board there. I mean, the Kings and the Ducks and those guys compete. But how about Tampa? Right.
Right.
They win the Stanley Cup, the Lightning.
Right. Yep.
And then you've got the Dodgers and the Rays were in it till the end, right? I mean, they played a pretty good series. I mean, for a very small team with a small revenue with a small budget, right?
Yep.
Payroll is what I was looking for. So I think it's amazing. It's great. It's crazy to see where that's at.
But it's just amazing that Brady's back in it again. It is just the most incredible thing. Win, lose, or draw.
Right.
He's already. It doesn't. In a way, I mean, I'd love to see him win, just because you're talking about out any sports, winner of all time.
Right.
You're talking about Jordan. Is he better than Jordan? Or Babe Ruth? You just name them all. And Gretzky.
Right.
He'd be at the pinnacle, I think. I mean, to think that he's going to be in 10 Super Bowls in 21 years, Super Bowls.
It's insane.
It is.
Half of his career Super Bowls, right?
Super Bowl, right.
18%. He'll have been in of all Super Bowls. It's crazy because you can have that debate, and they had it on. I can't remember which show I was watching yesterday, and they were talking about LeBron, of course, and was Jordan, and it's harder to make it to the damn Super Bowl. It may not look that way if you live in New England,
right?
But do you know how hard it is to get back to the freaking suit? Just ask Dan Marino.
Right. He was there his first year. I'll be back again.
Yeah.
Never made it back.
Never made it back. So that brings me to this piece too, and I'm gonna play a clip here in a second. So where does Mahomes stand in all this right now? I mean, is it too early to call this guy to go?
Well, I think I've had this conversation with a few people. They lost in overtime 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game to the Patriots.
Yep.
And if they win that game, Super Bowl, they win it last year. He's there again this year. That's 3 years in a row. I mean, that's how close he is.
Yeah, and he is
so they're
good.
saying if anybody could even at this point think about doing what Brady's doing,
yep,
the money would have to be on him.
It would have to be
to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, still 10, but 6, 7, 8 times.
Here's a little clip. This was Shannon and Skip yesterday on Undisputed about them being a dynasty. Let me play this clip for us here real quick.
When the dynasty talk will ensue, right?
Yes.
It will be officially in season to start talking about how many can they win 3 in a row, which would be historical.
It'd be unprecedented. I mean, well, and Skip, if you think they talk about my homeboy now, he messed around and went 3 in a row. It's over. I don't even.
Well,
it'd be over.
But to me, a lot of people think it's already over. I think you think in your heart of hearts that it's just over. Like you respect Brady's achievements over 20 years, but your eyes tell you it's over because there's never been anything like 15.
Do I believe Mahomes is a better quarterback than Brady? Yes. When it's all said and done, will he have the achievements that Brady have?
Well, you want to talk about setting the bar.
Exactly. That's the thing, Skip. And so that's what you're going to have to. It might be too simple.
So I just want to play that real quick.
That's the debate. It's a great debate.
It's a fantastic debate, and I think you can put it to rest if Brady wins tomorrow.
Right.
But how crazy is that, though, right? Would you agree? I mean, that's kind of let's put it this way. It puts it on ice for a little bit.
Oh,
right.
It's one of those, the 56-game hit streak. It's,
Yeah.
It's one of those unreachable goals. You think you say it'll never be matched. We wouldn't know for 15 or 20 years anyway.
No.
It reminded me, of 2 things. Brady, Mahomes. Don't forget they both were playing, and they're 2-2 versus each other, but they never could get to the Super Bowl because they were both in the AFC.
Same, yeah.
But it reminded me of, you got Brady. He's the OG, the original gangster,
Yeah.
And then 43. You get the young gun, Mahomes, and there's a movie I text you about called The Mechanic. I think it was from 1972, and then with Charles Bronson, and I don't know if you remember Jan Michael Vincent.
Oh God, yeah, I love Jan Michael Vincent.
And then they redid it with Jason Statham and Ben Foster in 2011. But it's Charles Bronson is the old hitman.
Yeah.
He's got all these ways of, killing people, and he's a veteran, and now he's got this apprentice he's training. So you got Brady and Mahomes, but the apprentice, while he's learning, his thing is that he's going to take out Bronson, but Bronson has got a surprise waiting for him. And I kind of felt like
that was a good comparison. Yeah.
You know, you've
I
got
didn't even,
is the old guy, he's the veteran, the wily veteran, still
yeah.
got a few surprises left, or is the young gun gonna just take him out? You know.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it. We're gonna get your pick when we wrap up on the Super Bowl talk. Um, I'm 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 feeling really good about this game. And I know Kansas City can kind of like pull a rabbit out of their hat like they did last year. I don't want to say San Francisco choked the game away, but they were well in control. It seems like, and a lot of people have said this, and you probably have heard the same. Sometimes it seems like the Chiefs sleepwalk through games. They never play a full 60 minutes, and that is one thing that I've noticed. And to me, that's a coaching thing because we haven't seen too many teams. But to have the ability to just turn it up and turn it on,
Well, that's it.
right? And that's kind of like
multiple,
right?
yeah.
I compare it to the basketball.
They drop 21 points on you in a
right,
flash,
which is scary. I mean, we see it in hoops, right? I mean, it happens a lot in basketball with the stars. It's like I'm going to conserve my energy.
Like They're kind of like a basketball.
That's
team
what they remind me of. Yeah,
right.
I totally agree. So, without Eric Fisher covering Mahomes' blind side, I know they'll figure it out because they're like the Pats, the O-line, and Mahomes has got that. He's got mobility. I mean, he's more of a pocket passer than anything else, but having that ability to be mobile, I think, is awesome. But I think this is where maybe Todd Bowles can really like scheme it up. They've got Pierre-Paul, right? It's amazing what he's done, right?
Well,
after his injury.
Don't forget with him. Remember that he had that fireworks injury.
Yeah, half thumb, right,
and missing.
Yeah, half index finger, and I feel like. Between him, they got back Vita Vea, who's a big lineman for them. He's been out most of the season. And then I always forget about Sue. And then you got Shaq Barrett on the edges. So, I mean, they can rush
like Sue's like an afterthought. I mean,
he's an afterthought, isn't he? Which is crazy. I'm like,
right.
And that's a guy still, whether you like him or not, I don't think, again, I think he's done stupid things. I don't think he's a bad guy. One of those type guys.
Who's the guy that was? I can't remember his name. He reminds me of played with the Ravens forever. I think he was in the ASU.
Oh yeah. What the hell was his name? He was always getting into trouble.
Right, but he
was with the Bengals for a while too.
Right at the very up until his last season. I don't think he's in the league anymore.
He's not. I know exactly who you're talking about.
And he was still a factor. He could still come up with the big play.
That's all you need, right? It's kind of like when we got Junior that time, right? Junior Seau, right? It's just leaning on a big play. What's his name? Chris Long.
Right.
Some of those players come in and this is not a game where they're going to wet themselves, right? The big stage isn't too big for them in a game like this. The weather.
One side thing I was going to mention, just from the offensive coordinator is I read that the only two black offensive coordinators are in this game, Leftwich and the enemy.
I like that.
League. And the only one, of course, he's got Brady, so I don't know, but they said the only one who actually calls plays is Leftwich.
Yeah.
So they're both, high. They're looking to maybe get a head coaching job. They're saying.
Yeah, Bieniemy's well deserved. It just didn't happen for him this year. I wouldn't have taken that Houston job if you paid me, so to speak, right? Anyway, because it would have just been like a guilt hiring, if you will. That organization's a mess, as we both know. And then Leftwich, I thought about. I think about that every time I watch a Tampa Bay game because. What can you teach Brady, right? But it's kind of like. The golfer with their caddy, right? The caddy's there to direct them. Or, every now and then I'm in the gym. I go to the gym in the mornings with Giovanni, but every now and then I like, when I had Tom around, right? He's been there, done that. Sometimes you do like direction, even if you're really good at something.
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it with Brady and Leftwich, and I think they've built that good relationship together, which I think is great. And not only that, I thought that was a great one that you brought up with the coaching. First female referee.
Oh, right.
Sarah Thomas. That's first time. So I think that's a kind of a nice story to tell there too. This week overall, It looks like the weather's going to be good. I was just checking the weather again. No wind. They can't shoot off cannons if they score touchdowns.
Right.
Because they're the home team.
I did see there might be a 55% chance of rain. It's supposed to rain earlier in the day.
73 and rain. 73 and rain.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. I don't know if it'll affect the game that much or who it would favor, to be honest with you. What are your overall thoughts on Bell and Brown? You know, the two you mentioned earlier, we were talking before we jumped on the show. The Killer Bees are back in a different form.
Of the two, I guess they're both active, right?
Yep, both active.
The one that maybe would have a chance of more of an impact would be, I think, Antonio Brown.
Me too.
He gets a few plays. I mean, Bell, I don't know. Is he going to get any? He's third on the. Isn't he third on the depth chart?
Yeah, and he hasn't done anything really. I mean, you know, he was behind a bad O-line when he was with the Jets. But, you know, it just takes one game, right? One game where they might need him or he's there on the depth chart. Somebody could get hurt. He gets more playing time.
Right. But it is kind of it is a funny little side minor story that you get these. I mean, the Killer Bees was Big Ben.
Yeah.
Bell and Brown. And they were, you know, the fact that they didn't win a championship, I guess, was surprising. But neither one has won one, and here they have a chance to win one, no matter what their contribution is going to be.
Speaking of the Steelers, we're taking Adriana to school yesterday, and me and Yvonne was with me too, and they were just doing true or false about Super Bowl things. Yeah, and these are people that came on the show to win money or win whatever tickets to something, and they brought up true or false. This quarterback, Bubby Brister, like that can't be a real guy. You remember Bubby Brister?
Right. Yeah. I do.
Right. He goes. He actually wasn't that bad. No, he wasn't that bad, right?
He wasn't bad. I think maybe they went to the AFC Championship.
I think I know they went to a couple playoff rounds with him. I thought he was pretty decent.
Yeah.
You know, he was a pretty decent quarterback. You know, I'm looking at, we're both hearing the same thing, obviously, with the offenses and how great Kansas City's offense is. I kind of feel like Tampa Bay's offense, believe it or not, is a little underrated. And I know the chemistry is just starting to gel now and kick in. And I think that's why they're playing better the last couple of weeks because, you know, no preseason, right? No real opening training camp, if you will. I know Brady got out there early with the guys, but I look at
a new crew, a new, you know, it took a while. It was a little rough at the beginning.
Very rough.
Arians was sniping at him. And,
he was,
you know,
which I didn't care for.
At the end of the game, was it against the Bears where he didn't know what down it was?
Yep.
It was fourth down. He's going timeout, and things didn't seem like, you know, they weren't going too smoothly.
No, because things are definitely, when you go from an organization that's totally buttoned up to New England, and then, you know, I listen to some of the local shows too, which they don't share this on national sometimes, is Arians just doesn't put in the work that, say, a Belichick does. Like he has a quitting time at 5 and he's on the golf course. You know, I don't know how often he does that, but it kind of goes with him, and the work isn't put in. And I think Brady's just kind of brought that to the organization, and it's kind of rubbed off in the second half of the season, which I think includes the coaching staff.
True.
Right? So
and the other one we were saying, I mean, to bring him up, we had talked about this, was not only, you know, Brady's impact and influence and leadership, but Gronk too.
Well, I was going to get to that. Absolutely. I'm glad you brought him up. That's what I was going to go to, because here's kind of what I've been like, just kind of going 1 and 1A, if you will, right? You got Brady versus Mahomes, right? I mean, Mahomes right now is on his way up, and Brady's playing great. So they can cross each other out. If I'm just saying, looking for an advantages. Gronk isn't what Gronk was, but Gronk still is pretty damn good. So you got Gronk and
nobody's going to be surprised if he has a game and he's got the, like, if he had, you know, if he has one of those explosive, he's got the winning touchdown, or he got one of those,
it's going to happen,
catches where he's knocking guys around and he gains for 45, 50 yards. Nobody's going to be surprised.
And Brady can count on him under pressure. And now you've got, I'm just saying, if AB plays, I compare AB closer to Tyreek Hill. He can make these acrobatic catches. So you've got that. But then I look, and I know they got Hilaire, and I know they've got, I don't know if what's his name's going to play. He's
Williams.
Yeah, Williams. And who's the other receiver? Watkins. Sammy Watkins, right? Is
Oh,
questionable.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just throwing it. There's a couple guys that are, and I brought up running backs too. Hardman. Yeah. And Hardman's good too, by the way. But then I look, now you've got Godwin. You've got Evans. I love Miller. I love Miller. I love Miller. It's such, he's Edelman.
He's
Edelman,
Edelman.
Welker.
He's Amendola.
Amendola, Wes Welker, right?
Right.
And he's such a gritty, tough guy, and that's the kind of guys Brady likes.
Right.
I think Evans. The knock on Evans is he can play a little soft.
Right.
I felt like, I know we all went back and forth and debated the interception 2 weeks ago. I felt like it was a high throw, but he could have caught it. He should have, right? I just, that was one of the three. That's kind of with him. Where Godwin's had some drops lately, but I love Godwin. I mean, I'd be all over him if I were the Patriots or any other team because he's a free agent after this year. So
I agree.
And then they get the running game.
Right. I mean, Fournette, what a pickup that was.
It's crazy.
So he's just been he's been dominating. He's
dominating.
And you still have, I mean, Jones, he's not 100%. He's been limited by his injury, but when he's in there, he's still explosive. I was surprised at some runs that he had.
Yep. Yeah. And you know what? It's leave it all on the table tomorrow.
Right. Exactly.
Leave it all on the table. And now it comes down to the coaching matchup. And obviously I'm going to give Andy Reid the edge on that.
Yeah.
But what's been, I guess, bugging me a little bit for the last couple of weeks, and it's going to be talk because, and all things being said, Bill had a failing season. You can make excuses that they had the 8 opt-outs and he didn't have a plan for Brady, and we've been down that road, and I've been talking about it on the show, and you and I go back and forth all week long on text messages. And is Reid that much better than Bill? And Bill hasn't won without Brady, but think about this. Somebody brought this up the other day too. What does Andy Reid won without Mahomes? Now, he was a good coach in Philly.
True.
He got them to a Super Bowl, but he never won anything either, right?
Right.
So you need both is what I'm going to get to.
Right.
You need the star quarterback and you need and a really good coach, right? And so and we've seen Andy Reid blow plays in the past, and now he's got his mojo because he's got a kid that can do no wrong playing quarterback. That bails you out. That makes you look better too.
Right.
So yeah.
The Pats early on when with Newton, I mean, they had at least 2 games off the top of my head that they were on the goal line ready to score.
Yeah.
They lost a couple. There was a fumble I think he lost. I mean, they were within.
Yeah.
They were within. They lost games within the last 2-3 minutes. At least 3 games, I think.
And then they were painful at
I don't
the
know
end.
that they would have done anything, but I think had they made the playoffs,
Yes.
made the playoffs,
Yes.
that would have been a successful season.
I agree.
It is tough to rebuild.
And everybody hates that team, right? So everybody's going to knock them off. Nobody's crying for them. They got 8 opt-outs, and as of yesterday, I was watching on my network over here. Devin McCourty said that all the opt-outs are coming back.
Oh, right.
Hightower's coming back. Chung's coming back because I wasn't sure if maybe they would think about retirement.
Yeah.
And you could go 2 ways with the Patriots. You could go, they're heading down a black hole.
Right.
Or you could say the defense is still good, really good.
Yeah.
And now just get somebody in there. Give me a Wentz. Give me,
Right.
I know I'm hearing rumors he's going to Chicago now, but give me somebody like that, and then draft Mac Jones. And I like Mac Jones. I guess he did good down at the combine. He's an Alabama guy. I like him because he's more this. He can run a little bit. I know that everybody's going to the hybrid quarterback, but what they say yesterday, out of the last 19 Super Bowls, 17 were won with pocket passers.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's something to be said for that. But I would want to blend. I mean, Brady was different. Manning, right? Those guys didn't run much.
Well, what do you think about let me just throw this
Yeah.
out. I know they say his durability, but what about Garoppolo if he's available?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Garoppolo's my number one.
Yeah.
And then you could get 3 years out of him,
Right.
at least, if not more. Still draft a quarterback in the first round and let him develop.
Right.
And I keep saying Mac Jones because I think he's going to be available if one of the
Right.
other guys is. You know what's funny, too? I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be that good. It's just a gut.
Yeah.
They say he's kind of this soft, not soft, Lax guy, I should say.
Yeah.
California surfer. They're
Right.
saying he could be great or he can be Ryan Leaf.
Huh.
And he just had shoulder surgery on
Well,
his
now, is it
non-throwing
his
arm
non-throwing
yesterday.
shoulder?
It's non-throwing, which is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. but
I
guess
love the kid, by the
Right.
way. So I'm not wishing for him to do
I do
bad.
too.
It's just a gut feeling on him. I don't know so much about Fields, how he's going to do in the NFL, but yeah, if they could get a guy like Garoppolo, then you can attract maybe a Godwin, right? Or
right.
who's out there for tight ends, Ertz, whomever's out there,
Right.
and all of a sudden you're kind of like back
Yeah.
in business again.
Right. Right.
Because nobody's, I mean,
You're right. It's reminds me of that old clip of I think Red Auerbach saying that, hey, we got, I don't know if it was Bird or McHale, they got, a couple more moves and we're right back in the middle of this thing. And
yeah,
that's really where the Patriots are right now.
And you know what? And I've been beating up on Bill just because, sometimes Bill just gets old. And if you're not winning, just his ways with people and doing press conferences and everything else, like, can you just
Right. No. Well, who was the
you just smile once and be nice to people?
Right, well, who's the went from the Giants down to Jacksonville?
Joe Coughlin.
Yeah, I mean, you know what?
Not Joe.
Tom Coughlin.
Tom Coughlin. Yeah. Yep.
And wasn't it like he was just a complete jerk? Just
Same.
Am I getting it right?
Yep.
Just my way, the highway. And then when he got to Jacksonville, he started changing and loosening up a little bit. And they had a good run while he was down there.
They did. And I remember Strahan saying his last year or two there, he started to loosen up. Basically, because you're going to crack guys. Because he said, if you're 5 minutes early to a meeting, you're 5 minutes late.
Right.
So it was too much of a military. And he is a military background.
Right.
And they're all cut from that mold. I think Parcells, to me, seemed a little looser, a little bit better with the press.
Yeah.
And then, Bill and Coughlin and Popovich, they're all just kind of like these. Popovich has a little tongue-in-cheek, at least a little fun to him with the press. Bill's just an a-hole.
Right.
At least to the local.
He did seem to have a different approach with Cam Newton.
He did. And maybe he's learning.
A little bit more lax or
right?
something with him. Huh?
Maybe he's learning now a little bit. You got to be a little bit more open. I hope so.
He likes Cam and would love to see him succeed. And
he did.
There's some talk about
bringing him back.
Did he really get a good opportunity to do what he needed to do? But I
don't want him. I like the guy. I hope he lands somewhere, maybe as a backup. Rodney Harrison was on the other day, and he's like, he said, forget it if they bring him back. He said, watch the guy. He's throwing every damn pass into the turf. He just looks so off. He's so likable, though. Like, to your point, we were pulling. I mean, when have we ever pulled for a guy playing that bad? I mean, exactly. Come on. You just wanted to see the guy. Well, you felt bad for him. You really did.
A great attitude. He was
great attitude. They loved him in the locker room.
Everybody, he was everything that everybody said he wasn't. You know what I mean? He just showed, didn't complain, didn't whine, just was a team player. And he did show, flashes of this unbelievable athletic ability he's got, but
I know
the whole product, I don't think he's really got it anymore.
No, give us Jimmy. I think Bill's got something up his sleeve. So I was listening to I love Drew Bledsoe. Caught him on the Sports Hub yesterday. Boy, he's doing well with his wine business. Up in Oregon. He's got what is he telling Scott Zolak? He's got 9 snowmobiles when people come up because he's got 5 kids.
No kidding.
He's got 5 kids, and but he was just sharing about Bill, and he said nobody knows Bill until when Bill is away from football. He's like the coolest guy. Who's best friends with John Bon Jovi when that kind of attitude? You know what I'm saying? Guy's got to be at least, and he is. I just wish, and maybe to your point, he's going to loosen up a little bit. With the players. I don't want him to come completely loose either because there's a reason why you are successful because his formula works. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they'll be back in business next year, hopefully. But I've got some, before I get your prediction here, I've got some prop bets that I thought were interesting. And the coin toss is an obvious one, right? The heads or tails piece of it. Will the first kickoff be a touchback was one that just a common one that it was going through. because you don't see.
You almost feel like it would because everybody's
Right?
so pumped up. The
So many
kicker wants
pumped.
to just put it out of the stadium.
Just drill it, right? The adrenaline's high in that first
or
quarter.
is it, hey, do it short and let's see if we can cough something up and get something, cough a fumble up on the first play.
All right, you like this one. This one I heard on from a betting guy that came on the show yesterday. How many times will Romo or anybody else on the CBS broadcast mention Patriots? Over and under is 2.5 times.
Huh. Mention the pay. Oh, it has to be more than that.
Right? I'm going over.
With Brady and the Patriots.
With Brady
and how many
playing.
times the Patriots won and how many
Yeah,
times
to me, I'd be putting money
Look,
on that one.
Here's one right here. The Chiefs are going to try to be the first team to go back-to-back since the Patriots. There's
Right,
one.
0304,
That's coming
right?
up.
That one's coming up. So you're going to have Patriots going to be mentioned. To me, the over and under should have been anywhere between 3, 4, maybe even 5.
Right.
Although Brady doesn't mention Patriots anymore. He goes, "Yeah, my team, my former team." I don't know if you've been noticing that in the interviews. Okay, here's a good one. Which of the Anheuser-Busch brand commercials will air first? Will it be Bud Light Seltzer, number 2, Mick Ultra, or Mick Ultra Seltzer? So I thought that was interesting. And it had odds on all 4 of them. The highest odds was just the standard Bud Light will be the first commercial.
But they've been pushing that salsa.
Haven't they?
Yeah.
Doesn't appeal to me.
Me neither. I feel like you're ruining your brand if you put your beer name.
They're all doing it
seltzer.
too. I know.
They should have come up with just something completely like, what do I want? A Budweiser seltzer.
It's just, it's like, I don't know what the ROI, those seltzer drinks are just, yeah, they're all over the place now.
I agree.
All right. How many commercials will have a dog in them? Over and under is 2.5.
Huh.
We get the dog with the horses, right? The Clydesdale, which is a classic.
Over on that one.
I say over 2. I like this one. Will the M&M, because they always do their commercials, the spokes candy, right? The little M&M.
Yeah.
Will he be wearing a mask in his commercial tomorrow?
Huh.
It's a yes or no, right?
I wonder what the well, I don't know what. Maybe they would have to say percentage of commercials that feature people wearing masks or something like that.
Yeah, and this one was just a yes, no.
There's going to be a few of them.
Yeah, there should be.
Yeah.
You even sing it now in some shows too, right? If you flip the channels and brought into commercials.
That's how you can tell how recent the shows were filmed when you see them wearing a mask and you think, oh, wow, this is, they just filmed it within the last year or something.
Right. Because they bring back, you don't watch any of these reality shows. Giovanni will watch a lot of these housewife shows and they've been filming through a lot of this. And a lot of cases, they're doing the whole mask thing, where they're supposed to, like if they go to the stores and whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting there. So who do you like? What do you like? What do you like? Who do you like tomorrow?
Let's just one quick thing about we had talked a little bit about, and then I'll tell you.
Yeah, of course.
How bad Brady is in the first quarter of the
Yes, please bring that up. That's a great stat.
He's been in 9 Super Bowls. In the first quarter, he or his teams have scored a total of 3 points.
That blows my mind. It blows me away.
3 points total. They said in the all 9 first quarters, he's had 17 first quarter drives. 11 of them ended up in punts, 2 interceptions, 1 safety, 2 missed field goals, which wouldn't be on him, and 1 field goal. He's ended up
That's insane.
1 field goal in 9 first quarters. The last one was in the last 2 minutes of those 9 games. So 2 minutes, 18 minutes. He's thrown for 538 yards. And in the 9 first quarters, the total of all the first quarters, he's thrown for 485.
Wow. That's insane. That's insane.
So
that's a game's worth. He did that in the Philly game, right? That's over 9 games, first quarter.
Right. God forbid he gets off to a hot start or a first quarter.
So when you think about 9 games, right? That's the equivalent of first quarter numbers that's equivalent to 2 games plus a quarter. Right? It's just crazy. That's crazy. It's funny. They brought that up yesterday on another good show, by the way. I'm going to give them a plug. It's on the CBS network, is Tiki and Tierney. So Tiki Barber.
Yeah.
Obviously a big Tampa Bay guy. Him and his brother. And then Brian Tierney, he's not an ex-athlete or anything. They've got, like, I think one of the best shows where 2 guys are not, like, just butting heads and finding topics to argue about.
Right.
And Tiki Barber, I don't know if you've ever heard him in an interview. He's just a class act,
Yeah.
Solid show, though. Solid show. But
I have not seen that.
Just even if you get a chance, go to YouTube. They're on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
And you can watch a clip. They're just a good chemistry and nice, easy listening. I tried listening to, by the way, too, because he comes up from time to time. You brought him up weeks back about Jim Rome.
Oh yeah.
I do like him.
Yeah.
I just the show. They still got that old what they used to do.
He's never changed his shtick.
He hasn't. He hasn't, and I like him. But I'm like, I can watch 3 hours. I've got to, while I'm working and everything, playing. So it's not like I'm gonna be glued to it. But I'm like, I'm gonna flip it back over to something else now. But he's still going strong.
Yeah.
He's a rail, man. There's nothing left to him. He's super thin.
I wonder what happened to the fabulous sports babe. Remember her?
I do. She was awesome, wasn't she?
Yeah.
I liked her. I miss Golick being on ESPN.
Yeah.
But I have a CBS Sports, going back to them again, app. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, too, because I play it. A lot of the old people, they're like, where did they go? Do you remember Eric Casillas on ESPN?
Oh, yeah.
He's on there. Danny Cannell. I mean, they've got a lot of guys that I'm like, where did they go type of guys. I keep looking for Trey Wingo. Hasn't shown up anywhere. Maybe he's retired. I liked him. I know you were in between on him.
Yeah.
But I liked the way he worked with Golick. I thought they worked better than him and Greeny. Yeah. And Greeny, I throw darts at him, but he does a good job facilitating.
Yeah.
He's good at what he does.
Right.
I just kind of felt like I don't think he did Golick any favors along the way with that show. The way they felt, there was kind of like the Kelly Ripa thing,
Right.
With Strahan.
I mean, for somebody that's been together that whole time, I don't know.
Good family too, the Golicks. I don't know him from a hole in the wall, but we know he lived out here and he got his start out here. And the son does an afternoon show. Son's tremendous as well, Mike Jr.
Right.
They do a good job. So.
All right. So the game, my heart is at 3 points. I thought it'd actually the spread would be a little bit bigger than that, to be honest with you. My heart's with Tampa Bay, but I don't know. If I was putting money on it, I think I'd take Kansas City.
Yeah. So the line hasn't moved. It stayed at a strong 3 from 3.5.
Right.
So we'll see what kind of money goes down the next day with the point spread. So I'm going Tampa, and I got Tampa winning 34-24.
Wow. I know the over-under is like 56 points.
Yep.
And I think it's going to go over.
I do too.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, 31-28.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot in those 30s, and that's the score I've heard too. Kansas City scored 31-28. I think if they were talking yesterday too, like, nobody's expecting a blowout, right?
Right.
But if one team were to blow another team out, I think we would all say you would see Kansas City blowing out Tampa. Right. Maybe Tampa would implode. Brady starts getting more, the 3 picks is still out there from last week, 2 weeks ago, turning the ball over. I know Andy Reid's record when he has a week off, that doesn't mean anything because he's going against Brady, right? Brady with a week off. I'm sure he's drilling those guys in the film room. He's got a lot of shares. They got a lot of tape from the previous game that they lost. Yeah. Not only that, I'm going back to the Kansas City tape in 2018 and how they covered Hill, right? He was pretty much non-existent that game when we beat him.
Right.
For the most part, he's contained. Yeah. So, it's going to be interesting. The other interesting thing, too, is Kansas City, if they win the toss, they're going to defer. But Tampa Bay hasn't been deferring when they've won the toss. So I think it's good if they play with the lead. So if they win the coin toss, I think they will take the ball. Huh. And then they've been doing that in the playoffs. I had no idea till I was listening to it yesterday on something, which would make sense.
Yeah.
You know, I'm taking the ball, which is complete opposite of, you know, what Brady and the Patriots do. But I think for them in this situation, it's probably the right thing to do.
I think so.
Right?
Right.
You feel the same way?
I mean, they want to be ahead and not chasing, you know?
Yeah, stay ahead, get a little bit of breathing room, then you can soup up that defense.
Right.
And, yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the game. So tomorrow, and by the way, everybody, please tweet me at R1Bolt55. Tweet me at R1Bolt55. Give me your thoughts and your score for tomorrow's Super Bowl. It is going to be a Super Bowl Sunday. And by the way, we talked about Celtics Suns on the NBA TV network tomorrow, or your local network if you live in Arizona. On I was going to say 686, but depending on what what carrier you have, they'll be on the Arizona Sports Network. But I think the Celtics, I got to take a look at this. I think they've played on the Super Bowl Sunday almost every single year.
Huh.
I always remember, I'm going to have to look this up now after the show. I always remember there being a Celtics game on Super Bowl Sunday.
Huh. You might be right about that.
And if not, there's been quite a few. So if it's the last 20 Super Bowls, there's probably been like 15 of them, right? So we've got that tomorrow. We get that, and I brought it up before I brought you out of the green room. I had no idea till I was flipping channels yesterday that your favorite sport, my favorite sport, golf, is going on out in Scottsdale.
The Phoenix Open, one of the biggest opens and the most popular opens, the most attended opens, and I actually got the
I was going to bring that up. You went last year.
Primo tickets, and that was they had tributes to Kobe Bryant all over because he had just passed away, you know, the week or two prior.
Yeah.
But what are they allowing, like 50,000 fans?
Yeah,
they pull in.
They had a good crowd in there for what they're a laudable number is, and I think you're right,
it's
right
a
around 50.
completely different event. I mean, it's I'm sure everybody's seen it. They got that stadium hole, and it's crazy.
It's beautiful. And then to see it on TV, I haven't been there in years. You went last year, and you said that I mean, it's a people watching event too, right?
Right.
Very colorful. They call it the People's Tournament. They were talking on the Golf Channel the other day because I had it on for a little bit, believe it or not. But, yeah, it's quite the taking out here, and I'm glad they've got good weather for it. We've had some years, like 2-3 years in a row prior to last year, because you had good weather last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
we've had some rain years.
Right. But with that, you know, you almost feel guilty saying how great the weather has been here the last week with that major snowstorm that's hitting the Northeast and the East Coast and everything right now. They're getting buried, and we were like, we're in the 70s, and
how can we
got
complain?
our air conditioning on in the car driving around. You know,
you have to. It's crazy. And some of those cold mornings. I mean, you know, we've been out here.
Sorry, everybody.
Sorry to say that, but just it is what it is. It's beautiful. You get a little suntan out there now for sure.
Right.
So, as we wrap up this week's show, kind of a good card tonight on UFC. I don't know if you took a look at it yet. It's UFC Fight Night. You got Overeem and Volkov as the main fight.
Oh, right.
And then you got Sandhagen's fighting Frankie Edgar. Well, I'm a big Frankie Edgar
I'm
guy.
a big Frankie Edgar
right,
fan.
Jersey guy. And Giovanni's got a friend. I think it's from the last place she worked. A friend from there that she still keeps in contact with, and she's like best friends with him. She's one of the nicest guys too.
I remember he took that. Didn't he take the McGregor fight like in the last?
Yeah.
As a fill-in, and he
did. You're
McGregor,
right.
Like he gave him the first two. He almost looked like he had McGregor down and out for the first couple of, and then he got submitted.
He got submitted. Yeah.
I have always followed him.
Me too.
Hey, did you end up finding out at all or see anything on that?
I'm gonna look her up.
Paige Van Zandt bare knuckle fighting. It's funny because you had the guy on.
I did.
Your podcast,
Milton.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Milton. And no, so after I talked to you, you and I were going back and forth in text, I was going to switch it over on Cody and try and find it. It was $39.90. I'm not paying for it, but it was $39.99 to stream it. I was a special stream like that network there, and but I didn't. And I was going to look up the results before we did the show, but I didn't take a look.
Clips maybe they're making onto YouTube.
It'll be on YouTube. Yeah. That's not something I would like to see her doing. I think she was a good UFC fighter. I would never have thrown her into like a Ronda Rousey category or some of the others. To go bare knuckle fighting,
Right.
What are you doing, Paige?
Right. I know.
You know, you've got, because she does have a good appearance and good looks, you know, she's had a lot of other offers, I know. She's very marketable.
Yeah.
Don't go in there. That's some damaging stuff. Man, I watched some of that stuff on YouTube, and I think I mentioned that to you a few weeks back before I had Milton on, and it's brutal.
Yeah.
You think UFC's bad. These guys are just nothing. I mean, I know what they have, 4 ounces in UFC, just enough to, like, not do damage to your own knuckles and maybe soften a blow, but bare knuckles, it's like, back in the day when we grew up street fighting. That's crazy.
You mentioned Rousey real quick and you know, saying not as good at, but, you know, I think you had to go back and look at what competition she had back then, and she really didn't.
She did it.
It was nowhere like as what it was now.
No.
She was, she had the most talent. They were, most of those, they were amateurs that were coming in at that time. They had 2-3 fights, and she was just dominating everybody. And I think at her peak, she'd have a rough time right now. It's competing with the talent that's out there.
Yeah.
Now, presently.
Yeah.
I think she'd be middle of the pack, maybe. You know?
Should be middle of the pack. And that's the one thing you can at least say for McGregor, right? I think eventually, unless you're John Jones, you're gonna, you know, if you're fighting good fights most of your career, and he has. McGregor's had some tough competition. Yes. The Diaz, you know, could be. We know he didn't fight any softies. He just got beat. I think he's humbled. He's matured now. Yep. I'm not saying that's why he lost the fight. I do think people change too, right? And they say a lot of times I've even heard like with different fighters, they'll say the hunger's not there. They're married now. You know, things just seem different. Plus, you're humbled with money, right? He's made so much damn money now that maybe you're not as hungry. He was definitely prepared for that fight, so I'm not saying that. But, you know, maybe your perspective on things changes a little bit, too.
Well, you know, it's a tough. You get beat in that sport. What are you going to say?
You can't
make any excuses.
No. Look at Cowboy Cerrone, right?
He
gets his ass kicked one week, and he comes back and he'll beat your ass the next.
Right.
And that's just, like, to your point, that's the type of sport it is. So I don't think it's rocked his world because he's come back. I feel like when she got knocked out, her career was over.
Right.
Like
never the same.
I think she's got false confidence in herself, just because the way she's always handled herself in interviews and always very defensive. Right. Where Conor is confident, right? I mean, that's innate. That's in him, and she's happy now. She's out on the ranch with Brown and married and. Having a kid, and she really did say, this is what I want. So, you know, kudos to her. She's not living some lavish lifestyle.
Right.
I mean, I saw her on a show I'm sure you don't watch, but The Divas.
Yeah.
So it's a reality show about with the wrestling. It's kind of cool to see the background and everything on it. But anyways, her ranch isn't even a night. It's like, I mean, her actual house that she lives in looks like a hoarder's house.
Huh? No kidding.
Oh, terrible.
Wow.
But to each their own, you know. She's happy, and that's all there is to it. But I agree with you. I think at least she put it on the map for women. Now I feel like she did that.
She did. You'd have to give it that.
Because Dana was completely against that, and he brought her on board, and now we'll look where the sport's at. I mean, they headline some of the main cards.
Yeah.
The women.
Right. It's one of the, honestly, you know, probably not going to sound, you know, sexist or something, but one of the few really women's sports that I look forward to seeing is that sport when there's a headliner or even the undercards. I mean, they're great. Unbelievable athletes, you know.
Yeah, they're great.
And you wouldn't think, you know, watching women fight, doing MMA or something, you would think, oh, I don't know, there's something about it too bloody. I mean, a lot of guys I know that just don't like even watching UFC because
they don't.
It's just too brutal for them. Just the whole sport.
We have one in the family, right? I mean, we do. I mean, I can't knock anybody for that. You know, my parents come over. You know, you're here for fight nights. They prefer to watch boxing over the UFC. So do my in-laws. Because it can be gory, you know, it can be nasty, and they're wrestling through blood. So we love it, though.
Who thought we would have taken a side trip on Ronda Rousey?
I know. You never know where this ridiculous show will take you, right?
Yeah.
But listen, man, thanks for coming on and being with me. We're going to do it again, of course. Thanks for all the support with the show. I really appreciate it. Miss you. I'm going to miss you not being here with us tomorrow for the Super Bowl and all the fights. But thanks for coming on.
We'll have a toast during the game.
We will do a toast. We will definitely we'll do a long distance toast.
Hey, congrats on 1 year. It's just an unbelievable accomplishment, and I can't say it enough. So
thanks, Mikey G. Love you, man.
To watch and be a part of here and there.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And there you go. Great conversation. Great hour with Mikey G. Enjoyed it. We'll do it again. Once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Please catch us on YouTube and all of your podcast sources that you listen to the show. Subscribe. I'm going to end this week's show out with a nice little tune for the Buccaneers. Little John. Let's go. Let's go, Tommy. Let's go, Tampa Bay. Good tune. Love the hype stuff for the Super Bowl. Everybody, with that all said, I am officially out. Peace, love, God bless. Winfield never missed one play. Big Stu be hitting them off. JPP